Not every couple is meant to tie the knot, and unfortunately that can be something you realize after the ceremony. From partners trying to name new family members after mistresses to an ex breaking into your next wedding, here's some celebrities who married terrible people. Britney Spears' first marriage was short-lived, 55 hours to be exact, but has caused a lifetime of problems. I mean, sure, there's the matter of the media spinning the story to paint Britney in a negative light at every chance, but the reason this marriage is headache-inducing is because the guy is still trying to ruin Britney's life decades later. He even showed up to her more recent wedding with a weapon and had to be escorted off the property. A mess. Britney had wed a longtime friend of hers, Jason Alexander, a long time ago. Alexander claims that Britney's team was the one to annul the marriage at the time, but to get him to sign the papers, they promised the couple could get remarried after 6 months if they still felt the same way. Britney later explained her side and said that the actions were a result of a night of partying. She was trying to be rebellious, not trying to make a serious marriage union. At least that's what one can gather from her statement with E! News. She was clearly over it, but he clearly wasn't. Jason Alexander literally broke into Britney's house and got arrested over it. This happened during Britney's 2022 wedding. Jason appeared on Britney's doorstep talking about how he should be there and how Britney was his first wife and only wife. He was also live streaming the whole thing because why not? We've already leaped over the line. The live ended when Jason was arrested after a scuffle with security. Further details came from a TMZ report. The police had escorted Jason off the property, and Britney's lawyer worked with the sheriff's department to get him aggressively prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Jason was also allegedly spotted with a knife. Jason ended up being charged with trespassing and battery and was sentenced to 64 days. Up next is J-Lo, who is currently going through a divorce with Ben Affleck, but this is not about either of them. This is actually about J-Lo's first marriage with a man named Ohani Noah. Judging by his behavior after the relationship, I would guess that he doesn't like J-Lo at all. I would argue that. He wrote a book about their time together called The Unknown Truth, a passionate portrait of a serial thriller. He never got to release it though because he signed a confidentiality agreement. Writing this book actually ended up hurting him financially, as J-Lo filed a lawsuit in which she was awarded $545,000 in damages. Court documents from this case, obtained by nydailynews.com, claim that the book was going to say that J-Lo cheated on Noah. He was also forbidden from further criticizing, casting in a negative light, or otherwise disparaging J-Lo after the fact. Despite all that time in court, he actually wasn't done, because a few years after the book incident, he threatened to release private home videos of the couple on their honeymoon. J-Lo obviously didn't want that out there either and sued the man for nearly $10 million. I mean, if she didn't want things written out, why would she let videos slide? The couple was only married from 1997 to 1998. Up next, Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. So much has happened over the past few years. The Oscars slap heard around the world, the separation, Jada revealing that she never even wanted to get married. It's a lot. The most publicized event was definitely the Oscars incident though. Chris Rock made a tasteless joke about Jada. Will retaliated, and his career has suffered because of it. Since the incident, it's been revealed that the actor was under a lot of stress in his personal life. It absolutely doesn't excuse his actions, but it's an explanation. He and Jada apparently weren't together at the time. They were living separately, not divorced, just living separately for years, and this info came from her memoir, Worthy. It's been a while, but does anyone remember when the news broke that Adam Levine allegedly cheated on his wife and then allegedly almost named his new kid after the mistress? Because that was so wild. I would not believe it if I hadn't seen everything unfold with my own two eyes. Absolutely no one saw it coming because the Maroon 5 frontman seemed like the perfect husband and a true family man. He could never do something like that. He claims that he never technically did, and he never had an affair and was just flirty with people online, which he recognized was still a step over the line. Either way, it's not a good situation, and it was made worse when an influencer came forward claiming to be the person that Levine was messaging. She shared her story on TikTok, providing screenshots of the conversations in which Levine appears to have called her hot, and then even more controversial, he said he was going to name his upcoming kid the same name as her. Levine ended up calling the whole situation the greatest mistake he could ever make. Levine and his wife are still married, and he seems to have taken a step back from the spotlight since. Elizabeth Moss has been married once to a comedian, Fred Armisen. Was it a good experience? Well, she described it as traumatic, awful, and horrible, so I'm gonna say no. You might recognize Fred from SNL or more recently Wednesday. He is a talented comic and impersonator, something that Moss does not deny. She actually made a statement about his talent during their split, saying, "He's so great at doing impressions, but the greatest impersonation he does is that of a normal person." Other partners of his seem to have also had bad experiences, one referring to him as a sociopath. Fred has had his chance to comment on the short marriage, admitting that he did get lost in a fantasy. He said he was kind of starstruck by Moss. I mean, she is Elizabeth Moss from Mad Men, so you get it. He did take some accountability during an appearance on the Howard Stern show when he said, "I was a terrible husband, and I feel bad for everyone I've gone out with," so he's aware. He also said he was trying to fix his patterns and went to therapy. Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis were cancelled in 2023 when it came out that they wrote letters in support of Danny Masterson. Masterson, Kutcher, and Kunis met and starred on That 70s Show together. According to the couple, Masterson was a positive presence in their life. According to the rest of the world, though, Masterson was a horrible person. He was found guilty of acting inappropriately towards 2 women and was sentenced to spend 30 years in jail. But before that verdict was reached, there was, of course, a trial in which Kutcher and Kunis penned letters to the judge handling the case, asking for leniency. They featured lines like Masterson was an outstanding role model and friend. Due to the nature of the case, the internet did not appreciate the actors' letters and called them out. Kutcher and Kunis heard and filmed an apology video. They said the letters were intended for the judge to read and not to undermine the testimony of any of the victims or traumatize them in any way, because they would never want to do that and they're sorry if that has taken place. But lots of people didn't accept their apology and still haven't forgiven the couple. Mark Wahlberg married American model Rhea Durham in 2009, but he has a surprisingly dark past. Him and his friends had a civil rights injunction issued for them in 1986. They were accused of throwing racially insensitive words and even objects towards a group of black people. 2 years later, he was aggressive towards 2 Vietnamese men, cursing at one and knocking him out with a stick. The other he just punched. He didn't know them, and he went to jail, only to be released 45 days into a 2-year sentence. 1992 rolls around, and Wahlberg's next victim becomes his neighbor. The man did have to visit the hospital after. After that, Wahlberg endorsed some anti-LGBTQ people on TV. Eventually, as we got into the late 2000s, the actor did start saying that he regretted his actions and was seeking forgiveness. Pamela Anderson's pandemic romance was a fairy tale until she realized it actually totally wasn't. Anderson was in Vancouver when the pandemic started. She is from around there. She was doing some home renovations, so there were a lot of contractors working on her property, including one, Dan Hayhurst, future husband to Pamela Anderson. Due to the year that they met, they spent a lot of time together indoors, away from other people and prying eyes, which was honestly probably pretty nice. The relationship was confirmed in September of 2020, but the pair were together long before that. They got married on Christmas Eve, obviously a small ceremony, but a sweet one. It was clear that the couple wanted this to be forever. A source claiming to be close to the star told People that Pamela goes into everything hoping for the best. She thinks every marriage will be her last. Anderson married Hayhurst at the home she bought from her grandparents. That was also where her parents got married, so it sounded really sweet, which made the 2022 split seem kind of odd at first, until Anderson explained what was going on the inside. Sitting down for an interview with the Sunday Times in 2023, Anderson said she just came to her senses one day, that it literally just struck her. She realized that she romanticized a lot of what happened. Again, we were all stuck inside with limited contact, and for her in particular, she probably went from meeting hundreds of people a day to only being around a small handful of the same people. The actress said that one day she just realized that she was the one paying for everything, cooking, cleaning for everybody, and that wasn't what she wanted. The marriage was a disaster, and the actress even went so far as to call the whole situation stupid. She said she got caught up in the whole thing and started asking herself what she was doing. Some early signs that everything wasn't picture perfect came from the couple's joint video chat interview for Loose Women. The interview featured the couple lounging on their bed. They were asked to talk about why they were attracted to their partner. Anderson described Hayhurst as a good guy, remarked about how handy he was around the house. But what do you think? Let us know, and if you're looking for your next watch, check out Embarrassing Times. These celebrities got busted for lying. Thanks for watching. Bye!